We appreciate you coming in, and thanks for talking to us at such an obviously very difficult time for you. We appreciate it. Let's start with the legal stuff, the appeal. How does that work? What are you seeking to achieve?
OK, so we've got lots of grounds for appeal, so realistically that's looking very positive in our favour.
And what will it amount to? Just keeping the life support switched on?
Yeah, most definitely. Just give him longer, give him time. That's all we've asked for day one. It's been 8 weeks. COVID patients get longer on a ventilator. You know, this is a 12-year-old little boy with his life ahead of him. You know,
They're pointing to MRI scans, brain scans, showing that parts of the brain are just not working anymore and will not work again. But you don't believe that?
No, I don't. Right, so allegedly, so we've got a doctor, Dr. Schumann, from 37-page CV. He's an absolute genius from the USA. Now, he brought forward, I think, 150 cases of people that have been declared brain dead and they're still living today, which wasn't the case. Now, there's a particular child that was death certificate and everything's wrote out, gone to Arizona, I think it was Arizona, and what had actually, the necrosis that they were referring to was actually from the child had been starved, malnutrition, which is exactly the same as what's happening in Archie's case. He's going a week at a time with no feed.
I'm slightly hesitant to get into what's happening at the hospital because, that's a potentially serious allegation about the way he's been treated clinically. On the point about how long you leave it for, indefinitely? I mean, how long would you want to see him kept on life support before you say, OK,
yeah, no,
it's not
a fair amount of time, you know. You get a broken leg takes 8 weeks. I had the flu once. It lasted about 10 weeks before I actually picked up. You know, he's got 10%, well, allegedly he's got 10% brainstem death,
yeah.
Which makes up 5% of the whole brain. And although the 10% is necroded, the 5% of the brain is that any damage that's been done with the brain is fully reversible, and I think it's quite important to actually get that out, that people actually understand that. There's 95% of the brain that's fully functioning.
Yeah.
You know, it's 5%. That's a tiny, tiny amount. All I'm asking for is give him some time to heal.
Nobody, when it came to that High Court ruling, nobody on the other side of the argument from you is in any way acting in anything other than a spirit of charity. I mean, they seem, if you look at what I've been looking at some of the comments, they're hugely sympathetic towards you and your plight and what's happened to Archie. They say that it would be almost cruel to carry on in the state that he is in. Do you think that's all it is? Or I mean, do they just, recognise that they've got to ration their resources and here's a bed being taken up that they'd like to use somewhere else? I mean, what do you think's behind their decision-making?
Without going into too much stuff that's obviously going to be future court battles, he left Southend Hospital he was put into neuroprotection because he was breathing on his own, making attempts to breathe on his own. So they've had to put him into neuroprotection. Now, I've had this firsthand. And he's been sent to the Royal London to receive a procedure that they couldn't carry out at Southend Hospital. Royal London chose to wait and see and not carry on with that procedure, which was obviously the wrong decision. OK. When we get into wrong decisions and I haven't got the hospital offering their account, I've got to be slightly careful.